Jou openbaringsstasie.
Isikhululo sakho esikutyhilela ubungcwele.
Kingfisher FM.
Francois joining us in studio this morning. Francois, thank you very much for coming in. Ons waardeer jou tyd. Baie dankie.
Pleasure, dankie. Thank you. Last time we spoke about the can you get divorced as a Christian? Can you not get divorced as a Christian? And I went into I did a bit of research, and for me there's three things. The good works, is it a sin? Is it not a sin? That was the question that was posed to Jesus when they went into the in the Bible, and he had to answer that. And then on the other hand, what does today's life, what does the life out there tells us? So for me, there's a total contrast. So if you look at it as a sin, no, the Bible says it's sacred. You shouldn't get divorced. It's one of the commandments that's in the Bible. And on the other hand, you've got the new age where everything goes, just live your life, just be free. You can get divorced, don't marry. Don't worry. So the thing for me is Jesus answered that question as he answered so many other things that people tried to catch him out, is looking at, is it a sin, is it not a sin? The first thing is, what should your attitude be? And Jesus always went back to, listen here, how should you approach it? And you should approach it with kindness. You should approach it with love. You should approach it with inner. You should look at yourself first. Who will cast the first stone? And when you look at yourself, you look at, is it a sin? Yes, it is a sin. But will good works save me? And this week I saw a thing that about good works is, are we saved by good works? And the answer is clearly for me, it's no. We're not saved by good works, but we are saved to do good works.
Amen.
So to go into and ask the question, is divorce a sin? Is it not a sin? The answer is always going to be, is taking the Lord's name in vain. Is it a sin? Is it not a sin? The answer is always going to be yes. So the Lord says, yes, it is a sin. But I came to save you from sin to do good works. Not, you can't do good works to get saved. And that for me, that contrast is it's going on since Jesus walked on this earth. That is the question. It's what's happening in your heart, what's happening in your circumstances. So my view, just to turn off or to conclude the discussion we had last time is, look at how you should live and not what you should do, and who you should follow and not what you can do. Go and ask the Lord. Don't make your plans and ask the Lord to bless your plans. Give your life to the Lord and ask the Lord to lead you in the plans going forward. And that's the only way you can deal with such a traumatic situation and so on.
I commend you for working in such a difficult space, because it's not easy. I wouldn't imagine at all easy, because you end up being not only the person's lawyer, but also in some sense dealing with the personal emotions. You've got to be like a bit of a psychologist. You've got to be a bit of a counselor. You've got to be a bit of a support. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's usually you get your clients. Your clients is they say they want an amicable solution. They say they want to, but they've been hurt and they want social justice. Now, social justice is basically, I've been wronged and somebody needs to fix this. So they either want to get the other person with finances, or they want to get them with children, or children gets involved and this and that. And it's always, even in my divorce, you take the high road. If you go through a divorce, you take the high road. It's never really your fault. It's always, you always justify it, but the other person did this and the other person did that. And if we can lower that down and say, listen here, it's two people that's making this mess, and this is where we are, and then tackle it from there. The big thing is you need a lawyer that will not go into your emotional state and dive too deep in your emotional situation. Somebody who will give you guidance. I would more recommend that you get guidance for your psychological issues and for actually just going to help the kids and help yourself through this time is get somebody that's a soundboard for, somebody at church, a pastor or somebody that can carry you through that. But if you go through the divorce, the legal stuff, the law is quite clear. Who gets what? How must it be split? The laws, the Children Act is quite clear on best interest for the children, and how it should be approached, when to go to family advocate, what to do, how to go to mediation. Yep, and that's the thing. People want a lawyer to fight for them, but you can't just go out and ruin the other person, because usually there's kids involved. Usually there's some consequences. So if you get divorced and your child is 8 years old, you still have to live with that other person until your child is 25, before there's really a separation. So it's another 13, 14, 15 years that you in the space of that other person. And the worse you make it during that divorce. So the biggest thing, the one thing that I feel is, it's almost like a surgeon. You go in, you try to get it done as quickly as possible, leaving as little scars as possible, so that the people can heal fast and go on with their lives.
Good advice. Good advice. So, trying to separate the two. Let's say we're not focusing on the issue of, I guess, the perspective of if it's right or wrong, but now we're focusing more on the aspect of, you are confronted with this, you are in this situation. What are the steps that a person then needs to take? They contact the lawyer, and what do you then have? Two lawyers, you sit down. What do people need to know?
The easiest and the best way is if the parties really decide. So that's where the whole Christian thing comes in, is you go and you pray about it, you discern. Is this a situation that's honoring God? Is this family honoring God? If two people are, someone is being abused financially, physically, emotionally, is it honoring God to stay in that marriage? Yes and no, and that's a very personal question, and you go in front of the Lord and you discern. If you make the decision to get out, the Lord will still save you. The Lord will not leave you. The Lord will not forsake you. So if you've made that decision and you say, listen, it's better for me, it's better for my kids to get out of this marriage, then you go and see a lawyer, and then you discuss your options. The take on, usually my take on procedure is, come and talk to me, I'll tell you what the law says, I'll tell you what's going on. So there's no charge for that. There's nothing, I discuss it with you so that you've got a clear understanding, so that you know what am I in for. So the best usually is if the parties can have a discussion and say, this is how we go forward, and both of them go to a mediator or a lawyer. I like to do informal mediations where it's not a formal thing, where both parties can voice their opinions and they reach an agreement, and you get an uncontested divorce and it's over and done with, and there's an understanding of the way forward. This is how we're going to deal with finances, this is how we're going to deal with kids, this is our understanding, and you put it in paper and you get it. That is not always possible, because if there was infidelity or something like that, there's hurt and there's pain that goes with it, and the two parties just cannot sit across the table and have that discussion, then you go to a lawyer. Then it is, my advice is always split finances in children. Let's settle the finances first. But the big thing with the finances is you need to know how big the cake is. So if you don't know how big the cake is, how are you going to share? And that's usually where the problem, the people don't want to show their whole finances. It's a process. They get into a secretive mode. You may not look on my phone. You may not look what's going on in my bank account. They open other bank accounts and things like that. So the first thing you need to do is open up the finances, because otherwise the court will force you to open up your finances. And then that is where the pain comes in, because this world of ours is very materialistic. We're living in this world, it's materialistic, and then the fight starts. So if you go through a divorce and you want to keep it simple and clean, be transparent.
Good advice. Talking about approaching divorce, practical considerations. We're talking to Pauw Attorneys. Maybe you've got a question. Maybe you're going through something right now and you need advice. Drop us a WhatsApp 072-147-2321 and we'll unpack that for you if we can, as simply as we can. Pauw Attorneys, Pauw attorneys.co.za, divorce specialists in studio. We'll come back and just touch on the realities of divorce. Here's Kane with an honest offering.
Jou openbaringsstasie.
Isikhululo sakho esikutyhilela ubungcwele.
Kingfisher FM.
Francois Point, studio with us this morning. Pauw Attorneys.co.za. If you've got a question around how to navigate the realities of divorce, divorce specialists are there to assist and to hold, to sort of guide you, mentor you, provide mediation through the divorce issues. So, got a question here from Vicky Hoddish. She says regarding, let me just go back to it, it seems to have jumped out. Regarding finances, a settlement has been reached, and then one party says they will fight it now as it is too much. School fees are included in the settlement. However, there is a debt of unpaid schools fees that was agreed on, emailed to the school that it would be paid. Now the spouse is being told that the extra debt amount needs to be paid for out of the school portion part of the settlement. Is this correct?
Okay, to just jump in there without seeing the actual documents and everything, that's a very difficult. Okay, but you need to understand that your settlement is including everything financial. That means it's movable property, immovable property, spousal maintenance, and child maintenance. Spousal maintenance is different from child maintenance. Child maintenance is the maintenance that will be paid on a monthly basis going forward. Debt is then also a different heading in a settlement agreement or a claim in court. So the debt needs to be dealt with separately. Who's going to pay the debt? Who's responsible for the debt? So that needs to be addressed in the settlement agreement. And I don't know if I answer a question 100% correctly in terms of what she's asking, but that is. The maintenance is simple for the children. Is firstly you work out the cost of the child, and you work out the cost of the child at the father and the mother, and then pro rata the father's. Depending on the finances available, the cost of the child then needs to be paid, and pro rata the father's income and mother's income, disposable income, can then be applied to the child, and that will determine the maintenance order. So it depends what period of the month is the child with the mother, what period of the month is the child with the father. So if it's a 50-50, 1 week this side, 1 week that side, that you sometimes get, it all influences the amount that needs to be paid, the amount of money available. You can't ask for maintenance more than what the money that is I mean, you can't ask 50,000 rand from a person who's earning 10,000 rand. So it's a it's a simple calculation, but you have to sit with the person. Then arrear debts need to be specifically included in a settlement. Who's going to pay what portion? You sit with the problem with school fees is the schools, in terms of the act, they can go against the father or the mother. They don't have to choose, so they can go and collect from whoever. Doesn't matter what your divorce decree say. Doesn't matter what your settlement degree say. Doesn't matter what your agreement is between the parties, who must pay what. The schools can go and collect from both, and if they collect from you and you've got an agreement that the other person should have paid it, you can then go and recover your losses from them.
Which can be difficult, I imagine, because this is where the question probably also comes in. I'm expecting the other party to pay their part, but they're not.
Yep.
What recourse do you have?
Yep.
Painful one, I imagine.
Yeah. So firstly, is there a court order? So if there is a court order, there's a legal obligation on that person to pay, and then there's steps that you can follow. You can attach goods, you can attach salary, you can get a garnishing order, you can approach the court. It is not very easy to do that, because you will have to show the court exactly what was paid, what was not paid. So usually there's a financial inquiry first, because when people make up a budget, when they bring finances to court, it's a lot of times they actually thumbsuck figures. They just think, listen, what's my groceries? No, it's 6,000 rand a month. And when you stand up in court and say, explain, how do you get to the figure of 6,000? They can't do that. Or whatever the amount is. So it's very important that your clients, that the people out there, that they do a financial a breakdown, and they've got proof of what is actually life costing them. Basic principles is, if you want to claim damages for a car, for a vehicle, you need quotes, you need to explain exactly what it is. Nothing different when it comes to maintenance, claiming debt, claiming arrears, anything like that. You need to go and first prove the quantum, the amount. And that is sometimes a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, the response here is saying every little slip is kept so exhausting.
Totally. Especially when you send through the slips and you get blocked. I've had a client that was keeping the slips, keeping every payment, but the communication, then the other party says, yeah, I'll pay my share, I'll pay my 50%. The slips is being sent on, but the payment never comes. And then now, a year, 2, 3 years down the line, then the arguments come out, but I never received your slips. And then the person is blocked on WhatsApp, they blocked on email, so you can't send them the slips. Then it becomes a very, very difficult situation. Then you need a lawyer to basically start the process and go and fight that fight for you. It is sometimes also a financial decision. I mean, do you pay a lawyer 5,000 rand to go and collect 2,000? I mean, it's reality, Are you going to fork out 10,000 to get 10,000? Is it worth my effort? Is it worthwhile? On the other hand, you're in a catch-22 situation. If you don't attend to it, and if you don't force the other person to play by the rules, and the rules is quite clear, then they will just turn their back and they will say, but you left it for 3 years, now I'm not going to pay. So my advice is for anybody that gets into a situation where somebody skips payment or where they default on payment, is to immediately attend to it as quick as possible, because that will show that other person, listen here, if you don't play by the rules, we are going to force you to play by the rules. And then it is not a not something that lingers for a long time, and then the difficulty comes in of proving your case. Because then they say, but listen, you're making this stuff up and whatever, So
A very difficult situation when one party doesn't want to play ball. Hey?
Yep. It is a nightmare for a lot of people. And the big thing is, what takes me, when you get divorced is, if you ask the question, if you were not divorced and if you were still staying as a couple together, what would your contribution for those children have been? You would have paid for everything. You would have paid for them to go to school. You would have paid for them to go out to KFC or to have a snack here or ice cream there. And now, just because you're divorced and the children is usually staying with mom, now you're saying, but listen, I'm just limited to 3 or 4 or 5,000 rand a month, and I'm not paying anything more. And that aggravates me, because it's your kids, it's your responsibility, and you should actually take care of your children as if you were still in the picture.
As aggravated as you are, I'm sure the other party is even more aggravated because of that whole feeling of how can you leave your child?
Yep.
Yep. So it's a lot of that. And I guess you've got to walk not only through the journey of forgiveness of yourself and the other party, and just sort of... I guess...
That's, we as Christians turn the other cheek. I don't believe that the Lord thinks, say that, listen, just let it be and fight for your rights. Discern, ask the Lord for guidance, and stand up. If something is right, it's right, and if something is wrong, it's wrong. You don't have to just go and lie down. You don't have to take everything just as it is. You can really stand up and you can do it. So the best thing is also, these days, information is at our fingertips. Go and Google. There's so many clients come in and they've got a simple question in front of me, and I sit in a conversation and they say, what about this? And it's quite clear they haven't even gone and taught themselves or investigated themselves, So people need to teach themselves, and people also need to get the right advice and get to the right lawyers that's not going to charge them an arm and a leg. Get to somebody that's going to give you advice, that's going to tell you, listen, this is the cost involved. And if you want to go on, this is what it entails, so that you understand the process, the duration, the longevity. Are you in it for so many years? So if you want to go and fight a divorce, you get those people that says, I don't care, let's just ruin the man, let's just take him for everything. And you have to explain to them, if you want to get in front of a court, it's going to be a 2-year battle to get in front of a court. If you settle the matter, it's a quick, relatively painless process. So you need to understand your situation. You need to understand the practical side of it, like me and you spoke about the justice system. The laws are good, the justice system, you need to jump through the hoops. You need to go through the process.
Pauw Attorneys, Pauw attorneys.co.za, divorce specialists. It's something that we never want to go through, but when we are in that situation, I'd encourage you to seek wise counsel and to talk to Pauw, to talk to Francois, and to trust that he'll be able to give you the best advice that you need at that time. But get in touch with your attorney or your lawyer, and consider always the kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for your time.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Die klankbaan van jou lewensreis.
Isandi sobomi bakho.
Kingfisher FM.